Prime Minister Narendra Modi has had one-to-one meetings with the Army Chief. He has had a meeting with the Navy Chief, and he has had a meeting with Air Chief Marshal AP Singh. All issues pertaining to Pahalgam and its post-Pahalgam were discussed. In Pakistan, what has happened is that there were some 26 terrorist training camps, and all have been vacated, where the terrorists have been moved towards the hinterland. Pakistan has fired this missile, which is a nuclear missile, 450 kilometer, named after Ahmad Shah Abdali. As if, people get worried and scared about the names of the missile. India's second strike capability is so humongous that Pakistan will have to think 100 times before he even thinks about a nuclear dimension. Europe has been trying to be sanctimonious towards India, and for long. That India is quite competent to handle Pakistan and handle all those supporters of Pakistan too. The last call, the last strike is still to come. And for that, Pakistan will have to pay.
To most people, European diplomats or politicians should sound like reasonable people. Sweet, worried about global climate, human rights violations, and all that ails the world. And Europeans, the self-appointed pallbearers of what's right, following a moral compass built with German precision, financed by benevolent, absolutely carbon-free, climate-friendly wealth that those living on the other side of the Caucasus can be forgiven to think grew on trees. Often like to advise other nations, tell them how to behave, since they don't seem to know better. And I don't understand why some people find that problematic. In particular, India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar. But before we try to analyze his problem with Europe, let's hear what he has to say.
We look for partners. We don't look for preachers. Particularly preachers who don't practice at home what they preach abroad. And I think some of Europe is still struggling with that problem.
Hello and welcome. You're watching the Hindustan Times and I'm Abhishek Singh. Now, Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar's problem seems to be that he remembers that Europe's Jenga tower of morality needs only a nudge to come crumbling and scatter into millions of individual acts of moral turpitude committed over not days, weeks, months, years, or even decades, but centuries. So he told them to stop preaching, in as many words, especially after Europe tried to tell India what to do in the aftermath of Pahalgam. Now, to analyze the MEA's statement, India's response, and shenanigans of Europeans who just love to preach, I am joined by my senior colleague, Shishir Gupta, Executive Editor, Hindustan Times. Thank you so much, sir, for taking the time and talking to us. Now, sir, before we start talking about Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar's statement on Europe and what he wanted to communicate with that, let's quickly first talk about the current situation on the India-Pakistan border.
See, the current situation of the India-Pakistan border is that on the Indian side, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has had one-to-one meetings with the Army Chief, General Upendra Dwivedi. He has had a meeting with the Navy Chief, Admiral Dinesh Tripathi, and he has had a meeting with Air Chief Marshal AP Singh. Now, these meetings were serious discussions. They were not to sort of create the atmospherics of war, but serious discussions in which all issues pertaining to Pahalgam and its post-Pahalgam were discussed. Now, while all this is happening, India's readiness, India's saying as to what its response is going to be, that all is being worked out. Now, what has happened in Pakistan is a very interesting side. In Pakistan, what has happened is that there were some 26 terrorist training camps, and all have been vacated, where the terrorists have been moved towards the hinterland. Post Pahalgam, all the launch sites in POK have been vacated immediately.
Something to avoid something like Balakot.
So basically, all these people have been told to push to the hinterland so that the immediate response does not fall on them.
Right.
One is that. Second thing is that Pakistan has activated its radars right from that is nearer to Siachen all the way down to Sir Creek area. Third thing is that long range radars are being used. And the fourth thing is that critical war infrastructure, that is like F-16 fighters and all, they have been moved into blast pens so that they do not face immediate retaliation.
Right.
That is what is happening right now on the Indo-Pak front.
Okay.
And while all this is happening, the Indian side is obviously ready and it's waiting for the best opportunity when to do a strong and a powerful response to what happened in Pahalgam.
And along with that, another thing Pakistan has done is fired a missile with a range of about 450 kilometers. If you can throw some light on that.
See, Pakistan has fired this missile, which is a nuclear missile, 450 kilometer, named after Ahmad Shah Abdali. As if, people get worried and scared about the names of the missile. Now, this missile has been fired basically to tell the world that, listen, we are nuclear capable and this can escalate into a nuclear dimension. Let me take you a step back.
Sure.
When the December 13, 2001 Parliament attack took place, I'm taking you way back 20 years. That time, India ordered Operation Parakram. Now, I remember a particular thing when then Army Chief was asked this question about the nuclear dimension. The then Army Chief was General S. Padmanabhan. And I remember very vividly General S. Padmanabhan saying that anybody who thinks of firing nuclear device at India or firing nuclear missile at India will face annihilation. So I'm talking now 25 years ago.
Right.
Currently, all this is, it's just bravado. It's just, delusion. The fact of the matter is that India's second strike capability is so humongous that Pakistan will have to think 100 times before he even thinks about a nuclear dimension. All this looks in very good in debates, all this looks very good in test firing, but the reality is far more brutal. And they know it.
I remember Prime Minister Vajpayee saying at that point in time, हमें नुकसान होगा, लेकिन पाकिस्तान कल का सूरज नहीं देखेगा.
So that is where it is.
Yeah.
And he's right.
Yeah. Having said that, sir, now let's come to what Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar, was talking about. Because there is a lot of, Europe is trying its usual tricks. It's trying to tell India what to do, what not to do. And Foreign Minister, again, has made it very clear to Europe, stop preaching, partner with us if you want to. But you have to understand our problems instead of just preaching from this high moral tower that you keep preaching to, other countries, including India. So if you can talk about, some aspects of the foreign minister's statement, and we will try and, break it up and, analyze various aspects of it.
You see, our External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar does not believe in what is called diplomaties. He does not believe in sort of, trying to couch language in very, very favorable phrases and all. He is somebody who talks very candidly, very bluntly, and there is a history to what he said. You see, what has happened is that Europe has been trying to be sanctimonious towards India, and for long. Now, when the Ukraine war started, the European foreign minister, the EU foreign minister today, who made a statement saying that, preaching restraint to India on India-Pakistan, called Russia a terrorist state for attacking Ukraine. While Europe was all gung-ho on attacking Russia using American money and American weapons, it is trying to preach to India that listen, this is not the right thing to do and you should behave.
Yeah.
That's what it is doing. The same Europe tried to defame India because India was trying to buy Russian oil to ensure that the global oil prices do not touch a humongous high. So at that particular point of time, Jaishankar had said very clearly that Europe thinks that its problems are world problems, while world problems are not necessarily its problems. So Europe has to actually look at the mirror to realize what it is all up to. The fact of the matter is, there is other part of it also. The European diplomats in India have been playing something which is beyond their purview. The European diplomats, particularly the German and the French diplomats, were seen condoling the death of a Maoist ideologue. They wrote letters also. Now, if similar thing had happened, if Indian diplomats had done the same thing, Europe would have been, shouting on the top of the table. That is precisely the reason why S. Jaishankar, during the Munich Security Conference, had said very clearly that you'd be shouting if my diplomats did the same thing. So Europe has a history of, committing fouls and never being called out. Jaishankar is simply calling them out and simply yellow carding them.
Yeah. And all this while planes from UK and Turkey landed in Pakistan a few days ago. We don't know what was in those planes. Of course, Turkey made a statement later on. And on the other hand, Europe is asking India to exercise restraint.
You see, what is happening is that Turkey is providing ammunition and is providing missiles to Pakistan. There is no question about it. Even today, there was a vessel which was sighted entering into into Makran coast. So Turkey is playing its own part. Turkey actually thinks that it is the Ottoman Empire is still alive, and it thinks that it is the Sunni shoulder of Islam. But the fact remains is that India is quite competent to handle Pakistan and handle all those supporters of Pakistan too. So let's be very clear on that. And Turkey may supply, or Azerbaijan may supply, whosoever wants to do whatever it wants to do. But this will not deter India from responding to what happened in Pahalgam. And you mark my words on that.
Right. And also a close consultation is going to be conducted by the UN. Your thoughts on that?
So tell me something. Were there close consultations held on Ukraine war? And what happened in that? Was there a close consultation happened on when the Hamas did terrorist attack on Israel? Was there a close consultation held when Houthis attacked the shipping, international shipping? So let's not talk about, these, the so-called talk shops. Okay, they can consult what they want to do. Fact of the matter is, it was UN's mandate to ensure that Pakistan turned the terror tap off. It did not. Now, simply by talking, it does not take anybody anywhere.
Right. And at the global level, is India at this point in time trying to make sure that Pakistan is put in FTA's grey list and, business as usual for Pakistan becomes problematic? What is India trying to do globally?
See, India has got support from everybody, virtually everybody, barring those few nations, basically saying that, it has the right to defend itself. Major powers have said so. It's very clearly. So the point is that India has not only built up global opinion against terrorism, which has been doing for virtually decades. India has also taken actions against Pakistan. But all this, again, as I said, the last call, the last strike is still to come. And for that, Pakistan will have to pay. Right now, India is trying to build up basically the proof behind the Pahalgam strike. Once the situation becomes transparent, the response or the reposit will definitely come.
Yeah, and Defense Minister Rajnath Singh yesterday said that, jo aap chahte hain wo hoga. And he was, of course, talking about the kind of, retaliation that, people of the country are hoping for will definitely be, done by the Modi government.
Rajnath ji is saying the right thing because he has had conversations with the Prime Minister, with the CCS on the entire issue. So he knows exactly what is going to happen and when it's going to happen. But you see, you decide on targets, you decide on response after cold, deliberate calculations. You do not decide simply on a emotional quotient. So what is going to happen is we will have the best option available on the best target and then deliver.
Yeah. And I think, this whole strategy of making Pakistan wait instead of, attacking it right away, as we might have done in the past, making it wait is probably, making it more nervous. It has had to shift its resources from hinterlands to India-Pakistan border, which is leading to a lot of problems for it in Waziristan, Balochistan, Sindh and other places. So this perhaps wait and watch kind of strategy is also working in India's favor. While there is nothing which is being done directly, there is no kinetic, exchange which is happening as if now, apart from, the firing along the border, but at the same time, Pakistan is suffering.
You see, if you look at the strike, the surgical strike took place within a fortnight.
Yeah.
The Balakot strike also took within a fortnight. Pahalgam, the fortnight is still not complete.
Right. I think that's the note which we should wrap this up on, because this will give all our viewers some food for thought to process the response that India has made so far, and of course for Pakistanis to keep fretting over what they perhaps know is inevitable. It's just that it hasn't happened yet.
Well, they started it.
Yes.
We'll end it.
All right. On that note, sir, thank you so much for taking the time and talking to us. Thank you.